Assalamu alaikum. Peace be on all. So, in this video, I'll be discussing the 𝗙𝗀'𝘀𝗀𝘀's rational faculties argument 2.0. Okay, so this should be the last of the series that I made, the mini series, and this one basically is going to be, I'm going to produce a small syllogism and a mega syllogism. Okay, so pay attention, because you'll have to be attentive, especially when I discuss the mega syllogism. So let's do this. This is my justification for my argument from rationality. I'll demonstrate it in argument number 2, since it's a polysyllogism or a mega syllogism and can provide an adequate justification. The 𝗙𝗀 argument from rationality number 1, this is a small syllogism, a normal syllogism. P1, if rationality wasn't axiomatic, then God wouldn't be axiomatic. P2, but rationality is axiomatic. Conclusion, therefore, God is axiomatic. Okay? So now, let me delve into the mega syllogism, and I'll be explaining every single premise individually. Argument from rationality number 2. Epistemically, rationality is accepted as axiomatic before engaging in any discipline, such as science, math, and philosophy. P1 is self-explanatory premise. Therefore, it can be understood in argument number 1. A1. First premise with priori conceptual knowledge. A priori conceptual knowledge. So basically, before we engage in any discipline, we must accept logic as an axiom, or rationality, or reason. Therefore, we accept as human beings that we have functioning minds that can attain knowledge and distinguish between truth and falsehood. Therefore, we accept that our rational faculties are axiomatic. So this is the justification for premise 1. Premise 2. There is a justification for human rationality. In P2, the aim of this argument is to justify our rational faculties now. P3. Metaphysical justification, MJ, is different than a physical justification. Okay, so you either use metaphysics, or you presuppose something that is metaphysical, or you presuppose physicalism. You have to distinguish now. You know what I'm saying? Like if you watch my previous videos on the topic. So P3 explains that there are only 2 ways of answering such argument, and since it's a philosophical argument, it's at a more foundational level. World views. Science has no foot in the door because, as I've mentioned, logic is an axiom in any discipline of attaining knowledge. So there is no point of having science as an alternative justification, or else it becomes a cyclical fallacy. Hence, it's found fundamental. World views. It's now a philosophical discussion. Let's assume pantheism for a second before we move on to premise 4. Panpsychism. Pantheism, panpsychism, since they both accept the conscious universe, they cannot justify metacognition. An indifferent universe without any intrinsic objective meaning nor ultimate accountability does not necessitate for human irrational faculties to arise, gearing it towards truth. What's the point? We're the only species on the planet who are actually seeking truth. We sit down in this day and age of science and technology, and we have YouTube channels, podcasts, and everyone is discussing philosophy. This is a phenomena. Everyone is seeking truth now. As if that's the new trend, the new thing in fashion, the new buzz, 𝗙𝗀, basically, the new buzz. Anyways, this is what it is. Everyone is discussing philosophy. Everyone is seeking truth. We don't see animal congregating. You don't see a jaguar and a lion and then a hyena, and then all of a sudden an impala comes and a zebra, and they discussing philosophy. Bro, why you eating us? And then these people, why you fighting us? Why can't we just divide things and be civil? It doesn't work like that. We're the only one who possess rationality, metacognition. Animals do not have metacognition. They just follow instinct. They want to eat and all that. So This is the question. Why would a pantheism or panpsychism because these worldviews are fundamentally naturalistic. Let's be frank now. All they did was just add consciousness or label it as God. It's shallow. It's basically paganism in a nutshell. Assuming physicalism has consciousness in a nutshell, which does not provide us with philosophical justifications. Why would a pantheistic or panpsychistic reality grant us humans, especially us, consciousness and metacognition and cognition to acquire knowledge about reality and our purpose as well? You have either two choices: ultimate accountability or nihilism. Anything else in between, I don't see why you cannot label anything else in between as superfluous or futile. Okay, because that's it. That's all we have. So let's move on to premise 4. I know this is going to be a long post because it's a mega syllogism. The justification for rationality being axiomatic is either an MJ, which is metaphysical justification or philosophical justification, or I call it PJ, physical justification, which is basically reductive materialism or physicalism, materialism, naturalism. So it's either based on philosophy, basically a metaphysical justification, or we assume another metaphysical presupposition which predicated on the physical. Okay. P4 becomes now self-evident. Due to the explanation above, you cannot deny that rationality is axiomatic and that it must be justified at a more foundational level, which is either metaphysical or innate, or physical naturalistic. Metacognition entails knowledge. Under a nihilistic worldview, which can be incited from naturalism, pantheism, panpsychism, etc., knowledge is uncertain. So these worldviews are self-defeating. Matter of fact, what would make the human trust his own rational faculties to be axiomatic? Blind, dumb, irrational, deaf brute, deriving force, causing a rise to rationality, or a divine intelligent being. So these are the options you have, pretty much. Some deaf, dumb, and blind physical stuff, or a intelligent divine being that is metaphysical or beyond the physical, and the metaphysical as well, something that is mystical, which is the divine. P5, the justification cannot be PJ, physical justification or naturalistic justification. P5 is now justified through the conceptual knowledge that must be known prior to understanding the argument, which is actually valid logically and sound once you understand the justification. Therefore, now P6, therefore, the justification is a metaphysical justification, or a justification on a more profound level, which is worldviews. P6 becomes self-evident. P7, if the justification is a metaphysical justification, it's monotheistic. For example, it's something that is mystical. That's what I mean by metaphysical. It's mystical. It becomes monotheistic. P7 is justified in the justifications above of P4, pretty much. So you have to follow through the syllogism. I know you probably lost me by now, but nonetheless, the justification has to be mystical. It has to be divine on a metaphysical scale. Okay, so it's monotheistic. Therefore, P8, therefore the justification is monotheistic. P8 is in line with P6 and P7. P9 now. If the justification is monotheistic, then it's one God. Therefore, in P9 and P10, the conclusion now, therefore, one God is axiomatic. It has to be God. God is axiomatic. Because that's the only answer we can come up with. There's nothing beyond that. P10 is the best justification. God is axiomatic because we accept rationality to be axiomatic, and the only way to account for it or justify it is through Allah, God, pure monotheism. In such case, I would argue that you can only justify an axiom with another axiom, which does not require justification since it provides a coherent worldview, or else we're running to an infinite regress of justifications and never justify anything. Okay, so this is in the philosophy of science. The best explanation does not require an explanation, or else you're running to ad infinitum of explanations that you can never ascertain knowledge. And this becomes a fact of the matter that basically the best way to justify our metaphysics is through philosophy. It's through philosophical justification. Because we're now using sound reasoning, something beyond the physical. And science has no foot in the door. So all these academics who are assuming naturalism, physicalism, are basically beguiling themselves and their audience. And that's the fact of the matter. I hope you understand this mega syllogism. I know it's complicated, and I came up with it myself, but nonetheless, it's predicated on academic, on the previous video that I made, which is 1.0. And if you watch a 3.0, you'll understand why you cannot justify your rationality through science or naturalism, philosophical naturalism as well. And I quoted the academics like John Gray, Francis Crick, Thomas Nagel, and I mentioned also Anthony O'Hare and Alvin Plantinga, John Shirley, C.S. Lewis. All these people basically are saying, listen, naturalism is not sufficient. Does not provide an explanation. We need something better. And I'm telling you right now, this phenomena, rationality, cognition, consciousness, the best explanation for it is God. And it's been like this since time immemorial, because you have two choices: either assume physicalism or assume something mystical and divine, which is God. Okay, and that's the bottom line. Peace out. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.